Ringo show. That wow, that
Take
was
one.
pretty bad for an intro. Ringo show. So how's the Ring of Fire show? That sounds a little bit better. How you doing, Amy?
I'm awesome. Really excited for this. We just had a good conversation, and I'm ready
Yeah.
to dive into it.
We always need to do the show while we're having a conversation before because we do the
Exactly.
whole show. So it always works. But everybody will be, oh, I'm sorry. The topic tonight is going to be ageism. So I think that's a really in the workforce. It's a great topic. I mean, you really can dig deep into a lot of things. And I like how Amy came up with some examples tonight. So we'll be right back after this video. Right. Always gets you going. Always gets you going.
Sure does.
All right. Well, tonight, Amy, I just think we're going to dive right into it. When you talked about, ageism, to me, like I was telling you before the show, have we all seen it? And I think everybody's seen it. I mean, I have throughout my career. I'm going to say throughout my career, which I have. Sometimes when I was younger, I'm going to say I didn't realize it, which makes sense because I didn't see it because I wasn't there. Being
Right.
60 now, I always say to myself, I said to my wife, I'm like, oh my God, what happens if? God, you do a show on this, but then you're thinking, wow, I'm getting older, and what can you do?
Right.
Because I told you before, me as a recruiter in all the years, I don't, I have not, I don't do ageism bias on anything. I don't think I ever have. I told you now, have I thought in my career that somebody else would think that as I'm interviewing the person? Yes, because
Right.
then I'm going to be like, oh wow, will this person move forward? Is because he's older, is because he's younger, more experienced. And I didn't realize when it comes down to hiring, promotions, layoffs, it spans over the whole thing,
Right.
not just hiring.
Yeah. This topic I think is relevant, and it's been relevant throughout for years.
Right.
And it's unfortunately it does happen, but there is a law. This is a legal issue. So it's very important for everyone to know. So if you're a candidate, or if you're a hiring manager, recruiter, to really understand what the laws are, because once you say something, you
You said it
cannot.
right there. If they don't know the laws, if they don't
Correct.
know, learn them, learn
Right.
them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we just mentioned before the call too about somebody is pregnant, and the hiring manager chooses not to hire that person because they are pregnant. They don't want to worry about the maternity leave and whatnot. Like
Right.
that is something that will land you in a legal issue very quickly. And any HR legal will tell you you cannot. So that's
Yeah,
why.
because if you don't know how to say it, if you don't know how to say things, that's a big thing there because it's what the recruiter or what the company says. It's not
Mhm.
what you did because anybody could sit there and say, "Oh, are you pregnant?" Why would you ask that? I could never. I can't even imagine. Would I see it if you see yes. Now you still just you have to interview.
Right.
You can't deviate from your mind of saying, "Okay, I'm going to catch someone something." You
Right.
can't do that, or you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yes. So it's definitely out there, and I think that as we go through some of the different segments that for tonight, it's really going to be relevant for people who are looking for jobs at any
Right.
age, and how to navigate through that.
Right.
And as a hiring manager, understanding what it is that you want. Are you looking for a long term hire? Are you looking for a
Yep.
bridge to gap that? So you got to really know what you're looking for. And I mean, you know as well as anybody that people just don't stay 30,
Right.
40 years in a
Nah.
job like they did, when our parents were there. So,
Right.
really looking at, you got to hire the right person for the right reason, hire for fit, and then you train for.
Everybody said you should move every 5 years. I'm like, what do you mean move? But there again, when I said that today, I was thinking, when I say, okay, why move? When you get people, that's where I really think it hurts too sometimes. Because say you've been at your company for 40 years, 35 years, right? And all of a sudden you got a layoff. Aha. Now look, you got 35 years in a company and you're out looking for a job.
Yep.
That has got to be hard because some people will look at it and say, well, they've become complacent, they've been in that position. Well, there's nothing wrong with being at a company for a long time, but it's the way you think about it. I think of it like, okay, they go to work. She or he's been at work for 35 years. They didn't get terminated in 35 years. They might have been written up one or two times, but they're still
Mhm.
there.
Right.
All the experience that you have, what's so negative about it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's my thought process.
Well, I mean, when the higher, the more tenure you are, the more money
Right.
you make. There's a lady I know that worked at a company for 39 years and got laid off.
Right.
That's a gut punch. So,
It is to anybody.
I mean, what do you do, right? But I mean, and this might be another conversation when we have
Yeah.
HR on to be able to navigate that as well. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you've got to look at for how to do layoffs and tenure and things like that.
What you have. Hey, Joel. Joel was in the house.
Mm.
I like tell Joel he's a retired veteran, and I said, "Wow, I don't think they have ageism in the military. I don't think because you can only do a certain amount of time, and
Yeah.
then you're out, so you don't have any idea. But you're out young. You're out young.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
40
40.
some
You
years
still
old.
have
That's
another
it.
career.
I want to definitely go over what you did here because I think this is really cool how you put this together. And it's the way I like how you put it in here. It's the way interview questions on how early 20s people would say it, and
Hmm.
then what a 50 plus should say it.
Hmm.
So if you want to read the question in the early 20s, I'll be the 50.
Okay.
All right.
All right. All right. So really just looking at, so there's certain questions that we came up with on what most recruiters ask, and depending on your age and being able to present it in a way that your skills or what you're able to learn, can you
Right.
keep learning, that kind of thing. So this is the question that I hear a lot,
A
and
lot.
gives me uh, this is not good. Tell me about yourself. So go ahead and you can do the 50 plus.
All right. So the 50 plus, you should say, I've spent over 25 years in operations management, leading teams through growth, technology changes, process improvements. What keeps me motivated is solving problems, helping organizations succeed. And I'm looking for a role where I can continue contributing while mentoring new employees. Now, that's what it's, I like that at 50 plus. Now, your turn. What does it say in the 20s?
So in the early 20s, I recently graduated with a degree in marketing. During school, I completed an internship where I learned social media management and analytics. I'm looking for an opportunity where I can continue to develop my skills and contribute to a team and grow professionally. So each different category has a concentration on what they need to emphasize. And I think also to really highlight, before we even get into this, making sure that you do your research on the company
Right.
and that you are prepared and that your resume is done per the job description itself. So there's a lot of legwork to get you to this point, to get you into this interview. Uh,
But what happens if I love this because when I read the 50, I'm like, I feel relaxed. Ha ha. Because it's the truth. And that is so to a T to say something in early 20s. The only thing that stood out there that maybe being over 50 wouldn't be that social media management, analytics,
Right.
but is it, could it be reverse ageism? I doubt that really happens. Could it? I don't know. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I think it goes back to, we talked about this before the show, and we should start doing the show before the
I
show.
know. Show before the show, we'll call it.
But being able to, as a hiring manager, know what you want to do. Are you trying to fill a gap, or are you looking for long-term strategic?
Right.
Do you have a critical role that needs to be filled, and you need somebody with experience, and it's a need to have right now? Get it fixed.
Right.
Or is this something that you have some flexibility, and over 15 years that you're okay to learn and groom this person? So you've got to know what you're looking for in order
Right.
to know how to ask these right questions. So the one thing I want to talk about, tell me about yourself. That is one question that I will tell any and every recruiter: do not ask.
Right.
Unless you ask, tell me about yourself professionally. Because what I hear a lot from usually the younger age group
Right.
is they want to tell you something personal. So
Okay.
for the personal, on the 20-year-old ish, um, I've got a 3 month at home. I've got a 6-year-old at home.
Yep.
I'm trying to have another baby. My husband works, is in the military. So when you start going, and now you've told them all this personal stuff, you can't
Right.
unhear that. As a hiring manager, you cannot unhear that. So now what you're thinking is, okay, we've got daycare issues. The family,
Yeah.
the husband's not even here.
People think that. I'm sorry. People think
Right,
that. That's just
exactly.
the way they
So
think.
that is why it's so dangerous to ask the question, tell me about yourself, because most people, unless
Tell
they're
it personal.
geared towards, will start telling you personal and then go into professional. So if anybody's ever asked, always just talk about the professional and stick with that. Do not mention anything about
Mention
personal
the
family.
personal. Joel said he had an interview today and it felt it went well as the interviewers were around our age. That's pretty good when you go
Good.
walk in. That's a good, I think that's a good thing when you have somebody. I know, see, but what I'm doing right here is I'm being biased in a way, like the way I'm saying everything, but I don't think I am, because that would make me more relaxed knowing, because if, let's face it, if you're in your, I'm 60, so if I have a 25-year-old interviewing me, it's kind of like this 20 and a 50 thing. I'd rather have a 50-year-old believe probably interview me than an early 20s, maybe, because of that reason, because that person's not as experienced as a recruiter, doesn't
Right.
have that. Listen, like my background doesn't have that long background that knows how to not and ask the right questions. I'm going to say it like that. But there again, like Joel said there, I would be more happier with someone my own age.
Yeah, I would not, and I think to that point, I would not be comfortable having somebody in their early 20s
Yeah.
that really doesn't know anything about what I do, and be able to ask qualifying questions and
Yeah.
follow up questions, and really, peel back the layer on some things. And so, usually at that age, you're just literally asking the questions that are on the page, you're taking notes,
Taking
and
notes.
you're not trying to learn more. Whereas somebody who has some tenure and has some depth to it
Right.
can ask some qualifying questions.
So I think what we're saying, I think the way what I feel I'm saying, or even what we're saying here is, it gives you an option. How did that come up top there? Oh, this new software. Sometimes I'm like, I saw a comment there, and it came up on top. Anyway, but the way I feel is the way we're saying it is, this is just the way that you feel comfortable, you feel yourself. I like how you said not to ask personal questions. Everything is just, again, I'm just saying, is right in between there.
Mhm.
I love this. Just that. Tell me about yourself.
I
You know,
know I hear it a lot. I hear it a lot, but I think it's important to understand the why behind it, because when somebody's got a 3 month old and a 6-year old, any young children, then the mind automatically goes to, okay, daycare issues,
yeah,
sick. There's so many things that can be misconstrued.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't need to be, it's not part of the interview. It should never, ever be
And
part
that
of
makes sense. So when you tell me
it.
that stuff, nothing personal, and I get that because I used to tell when I was before I had my own company there, and then before my other things, I DJ. All
Mhm.
right, so I never brought that up in really interviews because think about it. Oh, I'm a DJ of 30 years. Oh my God, that means you can't work the weekends.
Yep.
Yeah, worked, and then but I my answer to them would always be, listen, I always take my work first. Whatever's available, then I take it. But there again, I learned, you don't say things. There's certain things you don't put in there,
Right.
because of that reason. You might have good qualifications with it being a DJ from everything I've learned from just doing that in the workforce,
Right.
but I don't want people to think the same thing. Oh, he can't play Friday nights. He's out nighttime. He's going to come in sleeping in the morning.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have to fight. You have to fight that because once you get into the place and you start telling people your personal life,
Mhm.
that's when you gotta fight for it. You're gonna have to say, no, I don't come in late. I never come in late. I
Mhm.
don't call off because I'm tired. I wish I could do that all the time. But my
Right.
point there is, it's just because it's the same thing. If like if you sit somebody older, I think you got to stand out.
Mhm.
You really have to go above and beyond sometimes. That's just me.
Right.
But
Mhm.
let's go to the next one. That's definitely boy. That could probably be a whole show right there. Just that one question.
Yep.
But this one I like too. Why should we hire you? You want to do the 20s?
I'll do the 20. All right. While I don't have years of experience yet, I learn quickly, ask good questions, and I'm dispensable. I bring enthusiasm, strong work habits, and a willingness to take on new challenges.
Okay, sounds 20s.
Hmm.
50. Here we go, David. I bring experience that allows me to recognize problems early. I love that. All right. Make sound decisions and help teams perform well. I also adapt to new systems and enjoy sharing knowledge while continuing to learn because right there, that takes you out of that sharing knowledge of
Hmm.
learning all the newer stuff.
Right.
Again, that I love it because I still feel more comfortable with the 50s if I had to
Right.
make a choice because unless you're really looking, but why I don't have years of experience yet. They learn quickly, ask good questions, which is great and
Hmm.
dependable because what else are you going to say if you don't have experience in the workplace? What else are you going to say?
Right. And that's just showing your adaptability, your willingness to learn. And, that's what I look for. Depending on what I'm trying to fill, I would much rather bring in somebody who knows nothing and then I can train them the way that I want them to be
Correct.
trained. Because
Right.
then, to learn to break old habits is so
Right.
difficult. And so for me, I'd rather spend the time and energy on somebody brand new that knows nothing. And as long as they're teachable, willingness to learn, I'd go for that.
I had a great GM one time that said, Dave, he really believed in the veterans, right? He took those veterans because he says, listen, you can, I can teach the job, but you can't teach leadership. He said, I can teach you the job. So I thought about that. I was like, wow, I can teach you the job, but I can't teach. And you got somebody coming out 20 years, 15 years, military, being a major, being something high up there, a captain,
Mhm.
sergeants, in charge of hundreds of people. Boom. Now you're going into something different. Well,
Yep.
there's nothing to learn. You know yourself. You could learn that. You could learn the jobs and different logistics, different areas of fields. It just takes you time, but you would learn it.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so with the young person, I think sometimes, but what gets me is that years of experience yet. Um, this is where again I want people to realize it's not about right now we're saying it sounds great. I'm saying 50 sounds great. I would go with 50. That doesn't mean that. I think what it is, it gives you that options of how to ask questions and what to think about.
Right.
Because now if you're not thinking of what if you have that mindset right now, well, I don't hire older people, and there are some people that do that.
Hmm.
I don't, I don't want to hire anybody over 40. I want to go younger. This is what is great to listen to because it gives you that other option of saying, wow, read that back to me.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, there's a legal issue, so
Yeah,
you don't want to be going in front of HR and legal on that.
that's what I mean. And again, what you say and how you say it. But these are great examples. And I
Yeah.
love about the 50 because the experience, recognize problems, make sound decisions,
Hmm.
helps teams perform well, and adapt to new systems. I'm going to remember that one for the rest of my life. That is going to be going in the, as you say, my yes pile. And I'll put that in there because I'm going to try to memorize that. Anybody else should try to memorize that too because it really makes you think.
Yep.
So but I love that one. All right. Here's the next one. I love this. This is, I'm sorry. I know we all have questions that you don't like on an interview. Now, this is one that I don't like. I don't care. Anybody can try to talk me. You'll talk me into it for about a couple minutes, and then I go out of it. But what is your biggest weakness?
I love
I'm
this
like,
question.
yeah, what
It's
is
my
your
favorite.
biggest? Is it? That's your favorite?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you the 20s this time, and I'll do the 50.
All right. So choose something you're actively improving. I didn't have much experience speaking to large groups, so I volunteered to lead a presentation during my internship. I've become much more comfortable, and I continue looking for opportunities to practice.
Okay, I mean, I love that. I
Mhm.
think that's great. If you don't have the experience, you're saying that. Now, as 50 and above, I would say, let's say, choose something current but not critical. So earlier in my career, I preferred doing everything myself. Over time, I've learned that coaching, delegating helps both the team and the organization perform better. Wow, is that me to a T? That was definitely me. Again, I love what you said as being 20 years old. I think it's great.
Mhm.
What else are you looking for there? And then 50. I feel more comfortable because wow, would I want somebody that could make especially the decisions, coaching and delegating, that means they're going to take their experience and put it into that younger
Mhm.
candidate. Again, I'm not being biased on younger now. What I'm saying is
Right.
this is a show about why ageism, why you should think twice before you not look at that person that's older.
So the reason why I like this is because this is a question that I ask later in the interview where we're comfortable or having a casual conversation, going through the questions and whatnot. But I want to know what they say. And I've
Right.
had a couple people tell me their biggest weakness was it had something to do with the specifics of the job function, and
Right.
the way that they presented it, it was not in a good light, and it was more of a negative. And I'm like,
Okay.
I want to hire you for a GM position, and you're telling me everything that's contrary to what you originally had mentioned. So it's really this is positioning yourself in a way where you can make it look like that it's a problem, but it's really not. So my when I'm asked that question, my biggest weakness is that I ask a lot of questions because I want to make sure that I have understood what your intent is. So I
Okay.
want to make sure that I clarify. So I do ask a lot of questions to make sure that I'm aligned.
All right.
So
You
is
sold me
that
on
really?
that one. You sold me on that one. You sold me on that
It's
one.
not. But the way it can be
Right.
presented is that I ask a lot of questions, but the reasoning why is
Right.
for a betterment. So, but
I
that's what
just don't
I
know
do.
how sometimes I look at that and I think I've answered sometimes the wrong way because I'd be like, sometimes now earlier in my career, I didn't delegate enough. I didn't. I tried to do everything myself without asking for help. So now that I say that and then what you said, that's not good to say that.
Well,
Right.
delegation, if you don't delegate, if you're not a
Right.
master delegator, then you're stuck. You will never
Right.
go any further than that chain will allow you to go. So, delegation, if you don't delegate, you're stuck and you'll never
I'm
grow.
not going to say that ever again. So I won't say
Don't
that.
ever do that.
But I talk too much but your biggest weakness, again, you don't want to say something on a personal side.
Nope.
Nothing personal. I mean, keep it out of there. My biggest weakness, I can't babysit my kids good enough. Nothing like that. You can't. Or you talk about your family or your relatives or anything. You can't do that. But there again, I don't know how to answer. What do you think the person that's asking that? Because if you were to ask me that, what do you think you're looking for?
So, I
You know what I mean? Like what are you looking for when you answer that? When you tomorrow, if you ask that question to a candidate in your mind, say, why am I asking this? What am I looking for in a question that's going to help me get that job?
So it's I want to know how they're going to position us because this really because I ask about their strengths and I ask about their weakness
Right.
and nobody likes to talk about that. So I want to make sure that whoever I bring on my team, I am digging a little deeper and I'm
I
asking
like
some
the
questions.
question. I like that.
And I already know what I'm looking for, and I want to find out if they are adaptable, trainable, teachable, kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that every question I ask, I glean something from it to allow
Right.
me make the decision of who I'm going to bring onto my team. I'm very particular about that.
No, because I like the way you said that. I do, because if you got somebody that's asking questions, I see that point. I see it. Because I'd rather have somebody ask questions. I tell everybody, trust me, even now, it's like, listen, if I don't know, it's a dumb question. You can say, hey, this is a dumb question, but there's nothing wrong with asking anybody a question, especially when you're starting out trying to get the job, or
Yeah.
when you first, especially when you first start. That's the most critical. You don't
Hmm.
want to just. It's great to take it because you might have experience, but it might be different at that company. So you got to be careful there. When you start and you do things like that, because
Hmm.
that might not work at that company, and just because you've done it that way for 25 years, that can get you in trouble. Because no,
Right.
this is the new way of doing things. So I see what you're saying. I like that one again.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a thing. So, oh God, here comes the other one. This is another one.
I don't like this
I
question.
know you didn't either. I know you didn't either. I know you don't. But where do you see yourself in 5 years? All right,
Don't-
I'll take the 20s. All right, so I'd like to become someone my team can rely on, continue building technical skills, and take on increasing responsibility. I like that. Again, for somebody that doesn't have as much experience, you can
Mhm.
see I like how that's worded, because if you want to join a team, listen, you haven't been in a team environment that much if you're just starting out.
Right.
Especially graduating college, you might be okay in college, but now you're in the workforce.
Hmm.
Continue building technical skills. That means you're willing to learn, and you probably have sometimes more skills, probably sometimes more technical skills than somebody with being older, maybe, and take
Right.
on increasing responsibility. So now yours at 50.
Yeah. So avoid joking about retirement unless you're specifically asked. So that's one thing to definitely not talk
Yep.
about is retirement. I see myself continuing to add value, taking on meaningful work, and helping develop others while keeping my skills current. And I think that's important because the that is one of the things I think about somebody being older. You don't learn as quickly. You don't know as much with the current
Right.
technology unless you're already in IT. But being able to be adaptable and trainable, and being able to highlight that is good.
Yeah,
But I
because
don't.
you have to. Like, I'm in for it, all the new stuff. I don't care. I love new stuff. I'll jump right in
Mhm.
on it. If I make a mistake, I'll make a mistake.
Mhm.
But I just like, again, the way it says it there. It's both true.
Yep.
You're not sugarcoating anything here. I mean, that's an ideal answer for in the 20s. I think.
Yes.
I think it's
Yes.
very responsible. I'd be like saying, okay, if you can articulate it like that, I mean, that'll make the person say, wow,
Right.
okay. But again, if everybody's listening to this, the purpose of this is to show you about ageism, but don't ever take that 50-plus-year-old and not give that person a chance because you think of ageism, because this will show you
Mhm.
that it can change your concept a little bit, I think. It
Right.
has mine already by these questions. I love it. I love it.
Well, and two, the reason why I don't like this question, when I'm interviewing, I'm asking behavioral type questions. Tell me about a time when, because I want to know what you did do, not
Right.
what you would do. Now there might be a scenario that I'll ask what you would do, but I want to know what you have done, because then that's going to allow me to find out if that's going to align with what I'm looking for. When
Right.
I'm asking you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You're telling me everything I want to hear. And that's the reason why I don't want to ask that question, is because if you have interviewed enough, you're going to want to make sure, because you're not going to say, well, I want to stay with your company for a year and then I want to jump over to
Yeah.
another company. Like, you're never going to tell the absolute truth on that. And so that question is not relevant for me. I
Right.
would never ask that question unless I'm forced to. But there's nothing in there that is going to
It
give
is.
me any leverage, any viability on why, because I want to know what you have done, not what you would do. And this is telling me what I want to hear.
Yep. And I like that part about also, again, I pick up on helping develop others.
Mhm.
That means you got all that experience bottled up right there, and you can pass
Yes.
it on. It's just like when in the NFL with the quarterbacks that are older,
Hmm.
they want to have that new college, draft come in and,
Hmm.
stand for a year or two with that person. Why? Person knows he's leaving, and you want to have that experience. But if you can tell somebody that you're willing to help develop others, I love that. Help develop others and keeping my skills current. Because right there, that goes back to the 20s. I rely on my 16-year-old son on anything with my cell phone or any kind of sometimes on the computer, because those kids really know what they're doing because they've been brought up
Right.
in all this. So I love it. I
So
love this question.
before we move off on that topic,
Yep.
the other thing that I want to highlight, and this is what I talk about in my consulting business, is succession planning. So that is one thing that is so important in any company, because if you have somebody who's out for 6 months, you cannot talk to them, they are not going to be able to respond. What do you do? Do you have
Exactly.
a playbook? Do you have things written down? A how-to guide? I mean, how are you going to bring anybody in to do said job if you don't have a succession plan? And so
Right.
that is why I like helping to develop others, because the succession planning, if you don't have it, if you don't have something in place,
Right.
that is a good way to fail quickly.
It is. This next one, I love it. This one I like.
I like this one.
Kind of tell me about a challenge you faced. I'll give you the early 20s.
Okay. So, for early 20s, talk about a challenge you face, using your school projects, anything customer
Okay.
service, sports related type things. This is one of my favorite questions, is being able to um, articulate the specifics of it, and how the details of it, how you overcame it, what was the end result, kind of thing, because that's you know
I think you should add these questions. I like that. If you were to, well, you can't really know. Well, you're sitting in front of somebody young. You could do that. You can say it like that because everybody knows who's younger or older. You can say, "Tell me about a challenge you face," because you know that they just got out of school. You have everything in front of you.
right.
Because if the person doesn't know, if the person doesn't know how to answer that, and you give examples of, hey, use your school projects. I guarantee somebody with school projects,
Right.
retail customer service, something's negative. That sports, volunteer work. I love it. Internships right there is top.
Yeah.
That's top quality. And focus on what you learn. All right. 50. Use examples involving leadership, conflict resolution, business improvements, managing change, crisis management, and focus on the results. I tell you, I love it. There again,
Hmm.
tell me about a challenge you faced. How in the 20s, they don't have that experience as the 50 plus. You
Right.
know,
And again, this is what a hiring manager already needs to know, what they're looking for. What kind of problem are what resolution do you need, and how soon do you need it? Do you have the ability to do the teaching, grooming, or do you need to put somebody in there who's seasoned that will just take a little bit of learning and then be able to help resolve? So you've got to know what you're looking for, and go from there. And
yeah,
then
because you could add those in the 20s there. You could use those references and build them into the 50 plus a little bit. It doesn't mean that you don't have those qualifications that they're looking for on that question. School, listen, it's leadership, conflict resolution. That's definitely retail customer service.
mhm,
All of that comes in. But if you're saying ageism versus that, what are you looking for? It comes down to and I've never had a company tell me, never ever say, hey, look for somebody younger. Like, just come out and say, well, we like to hire young people. It doesn't go like that. Or
mhm.
they know better than that.
Yep.
Or hire older people. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right, you
Yeah,
know?
you're not going to have anybody that's going to say that, or shouldn't have anybody who says that.
But anybody, these questions are really good. We got a couple more still. These are really good ways to look at the way you look at recruiting for when it comes to ageism. Again, I want to point that out. Ageism in the workplace, so 50 and above, in early 20s. But I like that. All right. This one,
I like this one.
do you? I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I want the job because I get a pay now, but it's true. Why do you want this job? All right. You're the 20s again.
All right. I'm looking for a place where I can build my career, learn from experienced coworkers, and make a positive contribution.
I love it if you don't have as much experience, and
Mhm.
right there it tells you're ready to build your career. You learn from experienced coworkers. 50 plus. This role aligns with my background. I believe my experience can help your organization. I'm also interested in continuing to learn and contribute in collaborative environment. Well said.
Hmm.
I mean, these are again, these are going in my yes piles because you're not lying. I mean, it's the way you say it.
Right.
I think that's what it's hit me tonight on is, wow, the way you state what you say there. If I had the choice, again, what would you choose? Early 20s or 50 when I look at that.
So, Dave, the one thing that I look for is somebody with confidence,
Right,
because if you lack self confidence, and I'm going to put you in as a general manager or a director,
right,
and you don't feel confident in your abilities, nobody is going to follow you, because if you are not confident in what you say, what you do, how you carry yourself,
right.
hardly anybody's going to follow you. I won't do an absolute.
I
But
agree.
I think that's really important to promote yourself. Uh, don't don't be overzealous, but just be confident, but not cocky. And some of these questions are really about showcasing, your confidence and what you're able to bring to that job function.
Yeah, and that makes. I think Joel said he had somebody before. Okay, Boomer, tell me why should I hire you? And that's again, but again, just when you hear both sides of it, it just puts in perspective. That's what I like about this.
Right.
All right, common mistakes.
I like this one. I'm glad we're going to talk about this.
Early 20s, apologizing for lack of experience, focusing only on wanting a paycheck, giving one-word answers, and understanding transferable skills. I wonder why the understanding transferable skills. I like that. I mean, but that's
But
a
I see
common
this a
mistake
lot.
if you're talking out loud, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see this a lot when I was interviewing for warehouse workers and stuff.
Right.
The All of this was exactly what would come out of somebody's mouth, and I think being able to, and of course, it all depends on the type of job that you're going to as well.
Right.
But I think reading this over again for early 20s, apologizing for the lack of experience. If you are new to interviewing, don't apologize. You have
No,
to
I don't think you should. That I get. I'm trying
think
to think
about
through the years. Has anybody ever apologized for it? It comes down to the wording, and I
so
like
it's
again
all
just
about
one
what you
paycheck.
can do, not what you can't do. So I think
Right.
as long as people have that, and that goes for everything that you have a conversation about. Always talk about what you can do and avoid what you can't do.
Right.
So and not apologizing for your lack of experience is huge.
Especially just saying, "I just need a paycheck. I need a paycheck now."
Yeah.
That there is wow. When you hear it like that versus in the 50, I'll answer this one funny, but saying I'm just looking for something till I retire. I get that. People say that a lot. Okay. Suggesting you're unwilling to learn new technology. Okay. Wow, that's a mistake, definitely. Talking too much about the old days and assuming experience alone is enough when demonstrating current skills. I agree with that because I think if you're constantly saying something till I retire, if you're in that, if this is for an interview, I don't think, yeah, that's not a good thing to say.
No.
While you're working, it's okay. I usually say, hey, I got 10 more Christmases and I'm out, but as a joke. But when you're in an
Right.
interview, yeah, if you're in an interview and just say, I'm just looking for something till I retire, that's different.
Right.
That's definitely a mistake. Too
Yep.
much of the old days, yeah. And assuming experience alone is enough without demonstrating current skills.
I think
That's
that's
where you're
huge.
gonna get called out. Yeah, you're gonna get
Yeah.
called out,
Yeah.
on that. So no, I like that. I mean, it gives you some really common mistakes what not to say versus what we talked about on earlier of these other ones.
Right.
I mean, but I'm looking at all this saying, okay, I'm not gonna say that next time. I think it's a way you say you can laugh. Maybe you laugh about it, but just listen to what we're saying here and think of what you would say if you would say that.
Right.
Um, this next one's good. I think we're almost there. Yeah, we're almost at 45 minutes, 40 minutes. The key mindset. Someone in their early 20s should answer questions by emphasizing potential, initiative, adaptability, and eagerness to learn. different.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
totally
I
different.
don't have that information, Dave, so you're gonna have to do the
Oh, okay.
talk.
Yeah, it says someone in the early 20s should answer questions by emphasizing potential, initiative, adaptability. So that having the right mindset going into an interview, I can imagine,
Mhm.
to do that. Joel says, "What can you do for the company tends to help out?" Yep, that's a good one. And then, are you as your boss in 5 years? Oh, gee, yeah, right. I want to be your boss in 5 years. But that's a good key mindset for in their 20s, because as it says in the 50s, 50 or older should answer questions by emphasizing experience, sound judgment, leadership, adaptability, and ongoing commitment. And I freaking love that.
Mhm.
I love that because it says in both cases, interviews are looking for the same core qualities: someone who can do the job, work well with others, continuing learning, contribute positively to the organization. Examples you use simply reflect where you are in your career. I think that works really well.
Right.
I like how it says that. And again, think about that. 50 again and above, experience, it just sounds right.
Yeah. So I think that goes back to making sure that you are really prepared for the interview. And I would go through and look at Glassdoor. I would go through Indeed. I would look for anything that would give me questions that a company typically ask, and then I would see if that how relevant that would be for the type of position I'm applying for. And then I'm going to write down my answers, and then I'm
Right.
going to talk about it. I'm going to say it out loud so then it flows naturally, and then I'll have a couple different examples of each
For
potential
that.
question. So
I
I
love
mean,
it.
when I'm interviewing, I am putting in a whole lot of work, and I want to make sure that I know everything that I possibly can and any potential questions. So then I am
The
geared for how to answer that.
These are really good training questions and answers for
Mhm.
somebody in there. All right, we got one more from Joel here. Every company has a different process, and you must show that you can adapt to their process, and if in position to be able to improve or what they're looking for.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, that you can't say it any better than that, Joel. But no, I I'm glad you did this, Naeem. I like how this really it opened my eyes a little bit, and how to answer questions, how to know how to answer them.
And
Because
don't ask that one question.
if you learn it and learn how to say it, that can help you.
Right. Confidence
Yeah.
and making sure that you truly understand everything you possibly can, your resume, your questioning, your being positive.
Mm.
Confidence. Oh gosh, confidence. I'm going to make sure that whoever's on my team has that confidence and that they can get along and they play nice in the sandbox, and be
Yeah. You
trainable.
can pick that. You can usually pick that up in an interview, how they're going to be. I don't know. I think it just comes from experience.
Yep.
You can try by the way they say things, different things. I had a candidate that just downgraded his work, downgraded it, and I was just like, wow, and tell me everything about the bosses. And then he ends up saying his job before that he had a worker comp issue and they wanted him back. And he's like, I ain't going back to use after workers comp. And I'm like, wow, did you just not learn anything in two questions?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That
yes,
no.
but the qualifications are there.
Yeah.
You're well qualified, but it's the way you
Mhm.
say something. You could say it differently
Yes.
than not getting along with the management. Listen, we had different ideas. We had different, we evolved differently. There's all different things, and you know how to say
Never
it.
bad mouth. Yep.
Yep, and just how to say that. And would I ever tell anybody HEPA law? No, you don't bring out anything with your law, with HEPA, with your medical background. You never do that. That's just common sense. That's why we have HEPA. So you can't ask me, oh, you have high blood pressure when you're older. Like everybody thinks you're older. Well, you're unhealthy. What do you want? A doctor's note, or you know what I mean? You want a physical? But I get why some companies might do stuff like that. But
Right.
again, thank you. These are really good tonight. This is a good
Yes.
topic.
Good show.
Great topic. So, all right. Well, I guess that's it for tonight, and be back here very soon. Think of the next topic there. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. So,
All right. Well,
all right.
good show. Thank you.
Yes, and I gotta say, I gotta put this band. I'm way slow tonight. All right. Talk to you right after this.
All right.